So today I'm with the lovely two-time nominee of Oscars and also one-time nominee Emmy Award-winning for costume designing, Miss Ruth E. Carter. She was the head costume designer for Black Panther, which is so inspirational for a lot of millennials, especially in the Black community. And with me being a part of the fashion industry, I felt very inspired and intrigued by a lot of the costume designers. So I wanted to just tap into your background a little bit. I saw that you graduated from Hampton University, which is a HBCU. I'm definitely a part of that alumni. Did you see yourself as like a costume designer when you were going to school for art?
I went to school for theater arts, and I was the costume designer on campus. After my junior year got started, I did a play, and after I did that play, I just started doing everything on the campus that required some kind of a costume. So, not only did I see myself as a costume designer, I was the costume designer.
Did you have background as far as sewing, or you just got hands-on when you were going to school for costumes for designing at Hampton?
I had art in my background. My brothers are artists, so I could draw, and I had, a little bit of self-taught sewing, but it wasn't anything great. So a lot of people think that costume design means that you can sew and you're a fashion designer, but they're very different.
Yes, very, very different. So once you graduated from Hampton University, I've also noticed that you didn't just up and leave to go to LA. It took you some time, and that's when you kind of just gathered your thoughts and moved to LA around 1986.
I don't know about, gathering my thoughts. I was doing internship programs. I was in the theater when I graduated, and I was an intern in the theater in the costume department. I did that for one season at Center Stage, and then after that I was given the opportunity to be an intern at the Santa Fe Opera. So I drove to New Mexico, and I was an intern at the Santa Fe Opera for a season. So that was the year and a half after I graduated, and then from there I went to Los Angeles.
Okay. And did you feel like LA was a better move for you versus New York? Well, obviously.
Well, it was because I had family in Los Angeles, and they offered their home to me to stay to pursue my career. So
yeah,
I was already in the Midwest, so I just kept driving to California, and my brother's in-laws.
That's cool. That's definitely a very important element, having family supporting your goals, especially during a very young, precious time. And as far as when you arrived to LA, you were working at one of the LA art theaters, and that led.
Yeah, I worked. Yeah, when I got to Los Angeles, I had developed a portfolio for myself from college all the way up to my internship. So I was just trying to come up with, a job, for myself, but I really just wanted to do theater because that's what I knew. And I looked in the calendar section of the LA Times, and I saw a photo of the Los Angeles Theater Center announcing that they were open. And it had 5 theaters under one roof. And the picture on the front of the calendar section was of the staff. So I said, okay, they need me. So I went down there and I talked myself into a job.
It's definitely motivation and determination, and you got the job.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was just working backstage. Mm-hmm.
It's still a start to something that you had an envision of. So it's still like a great start and definitely self-motivating for you to get your foot in the door. Mm-hmm. And once you were building momentum there, that's when you met Mr. Spike Lee.
Yes, I met Spike. Mm-hmm.
And then that led to you doing your first film for School Days.
Correct.
Yes. And how was that feeling? Did you think it was going to be a prominent movie?
It was his first studio film. So it wasn't, no one really thinks like that when they're on a production. They think this is time for all of us to get together and make a film, like Hip Hip Hooray. We're going to make a film. And so we're all going to try to make the best film we can make. And, if we make the best film we can make, I'm sure everyone's going to love it. I mean, that's kind of, your enthusiasm, Spike Lee and his rise. So we all wanted to support him. I was more focused on the steps to getting there than I was maybe focused on what it would look like.
Was it because of where he was filming and then where you were staying at? Was it that problem of you arriving?
There were really no problems. We all had good accommodations. We were in Atlanta. We were shooting at Morehouse and at Selman and other locations. And we had a stage. No, we had a real film set. We had a producer in the studio behind us, giving us money. I was making more money than I'd ever made. There was no problems. I'm just saying that, we were enthusiastic about how the outcome would be, but it wasn't something that we thought about.
So I've noticed, I looked through the spin of your career of all the films that you created and also the TV shows that you've been doing costume designs, and you're very notable for timepieces. How did you find your niche on costume designing?
I found my niche, it's kind of like the niche found me, because I came out of theater. I already knew how to break down the script. I already knew how to research the looks. I knew I knew that already. So I guess the first big period film I got was Malcolm X. I really got into researching about his life. Malcolm X was someone whom I knew about his story. I read the autobiography years ago. It was a subject that we were all very much enthusiastic and interested in presenting to the world. So I already knew how to study clothing history, and I just was given an opportunity to apply everything that I had learned.
That's really good, and that was actually your first nomination for the Oscars, which was Malcolm X, and that was the first movie with the time period, which is absolutely incredible. Yeah. So congratulations for that. I also am in love with the movie Black Panther. I'm sure many others are. I've seen it 3 times. How did you go about that? I know you had to travel there and get permission to use the traditional Lesotho designs in the costumes. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
The blankets?
Yes.
So the Sutu blankets?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. That rumor is out there. Where did you read that? Because somebody wrote that, and I keep getting asked about that. It's so not true.
It's in Wikipedia, and it's also another source site. I didn't write that one down.
Wow. Somebody wrote that into Wikipedia. I did travel to South Africa, but I traveled to South Africa after, because I had done so much research on the continent. It had impacted my consciousness so profoundly that I decided to take my vacation in Africa. I'd been to Africa once before, but it had been so long ago. I felt that it was important for me to connect with Africans in the continent, to touch the soil, to be on the continent, so that if I'm speaking about it, I'm speaking from a real trajectory, and not just from the reference books.
I really love the scene of the fighting scene when they're in a casino. I definitely identified that the flag, that it represented the Pan-African flag when Lupita was wearing green, Chadwick was wearing black, and then I definitely identified that. And then when I looked back on one of the specials of Mr. Ryan explaining it, he said the same thing. And I said, this is crazy that I'm identifying. But it was a lot of little intricate details of Africa since I visited Africa that I definitely felt like you definitely strategically placed in the movie. I thought that was very, genius of you. Was it a collaboration effort of you and Ryan, or did you, had the idea, bring the ideas to the table?
Oh, it's both. You have to collaborate with the director, because ultimately it's his vision. He carries everything that you do afterwards. After you're gone, he has to take everything and put it into contextual kind of a script or a movie. He you have conversations, you know. He's a real human being, you know. He's not a crazy director who's walking around with all my ideas first, you know. He's a real person, so, you know, he cares about you and your process. You care about him and all the things that he has to do. So when you're sharing ideas like that, you're meeting each other in a happy place. You know, you're cheering each other on. You're supporting each other's artistry. So ideas are exchanged. Sometimes you don't know exactly, you know, who had the idea first, but you know, I do know that it was his thoughts that went into that scene where we see them and Okoye has on red, Black Panther is in black, and Nakia is in green.
I love
also,
everything.
Because Dora wears red and Nakia represents the River Tribe, which means she wears green. So that kind of was already in play. And it just so happens that when the three of them got together, we decided that, you know, it was the Pan-African flag, colors of the liberation flag, you know. Red is the blood. So that's how that came about, you know. But there's several ideas that, you know, you kind of come up with when you're researching and looking at what you're going to do and how you're going to infuse the African creative arts into the clothing. So, you know, there's a constant sharing. You don't necessarily have Ryan's full attention at all times, but you find ways, whether you're texting him or you go over to his office and you leave something on his desk, there's always ways in which you can communicate.
And I also definitely appreciate the natural hair and the bald head throughout the movie. I'm definitely bald. I've been bald for quite some time, and when she threw that wig off, I just was like, oh my God, this is so me. I really, really appreciate you guys having that representation throughout the whole movie. No one had colored hair or long hair unless they were in, like, the Western world. How did you guys come up with that concept? Like, was it that concept throughout the gate?
Well, Ryan, at first, he wanted the hair to represent rank with the Dora Milaje. So he said that the less hair you have, the higher your rank. So Okoye was at first going to be the only one who's bald. And the other Dora were going to have different, we had all these photos of different kind of hair sculptures, you know, where you have just a little tuffet on top. We looked back at the Dinka tribe and how they do the little shaved sides and the ponytail. We were trying to do all kinds of things like that. And then one day he just said the whole tribe is going to be bald.
I love it. I just love it.
Instead of just having them bald, he made, I had some illustrations with tattoos of the Dora. So we used tattoos on their heads instead of the hair.
Great concept. I loved it. And just to close out this interview, I wanted to ask, is there a favorite film that you worked on in the past? I know there was a lot.
Oh, I would say, yeah, I really don't. They're all such different experiences. It's hard to say, you know, one was like a favorite because it's work. You know, it's a process. Very demanding of yourself as a professional, of yourself personally. You know, you wake up every day and it's like 4 a.m. and you're there, you know, coming up with ideas all day long for 12 hours a day, you know, nonstop for months. So, by the time you get things going on set, you know, you're relieved, you're happy, you know, you're still tweaking things until the camera rolls on them, and you're just hoping that it comes out the way that you had envisioned it. So the process itself is very demanding. And when they come out, you know, for me, it takes me a long time to actually really see the film like a regular person. I have to see it 4 or 5 times. And so I have lots of favorites. I mean, if you want to call them that, I have lots of favorites. Tina Turner, What's Love Got to Do with It is a favorite.
I love that movie.
Malcolm X is a favorite. I can watch Malcolm X over and over and over again and never get tired of it. Yeah, Selma is a favorite. I can watch that film, and when I'm watching it, I'm different than everyone. I'm remembering, you know, things that happened on set that day. You know, people who I talk to, you know, there's special things about them for me. And Black Panther, I mean, it's now right up there.
Okay. And if you can tell any young costume designers that is interested in getting into the field, what would you tell them to tap into the industry?
I would say, you know, you have to be kind of like your own champion. You have to champion your cause. You have to sort of be like a scientist, do your forensics work about who is doing what. You know, a lot of people are lazy, and so, you know, beat the lazy and get into who's doing what. You know, look at Dee Rees and you know, try to get her script and read her script and see, you know, and see what makes it magical, and, you know, just be a forensic scientist for your own cause, and people will appreciate hearing from you. Don't think that, you know, the surface of what you see is what you can talk about to these filmmakers. They want to hear someone who has a little bit more than that.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule. Congratulations. I really love your work in Black Panther. I loved you also in Brooklyn and What's Love Got to Do with It. Those movies were definitely inspirational, but I wish you the best.
Thank
you so much.